So I made a jet in aeronautics, and it's really fast. It's about 100 meters a second at max speed, and it's really controllable too. And this is all possible because aeronautics add-ons have gotten so advanced that I can make it this small. I'd be able to make it like a decent size anyway, but I was able to make a 100 meter per second jet rather small because of the add-ons are so advanced now. Now, one of these add-ons is create gadgets and gizmos, and this is an add-on that lets me make bearings that are very advanced. I can make it redstone controlled, sneak right click, and then I can set the angle limit on both sides for turning for both of these things, and different frequencies for each side. And then with that, I can get like sort of left and right turning incredibly easily, and it just has a shaft running through it. So I can just power it through that. And I could make it one lower if I didn't have to worry about this speed dampening and then the engine being 2 blocks tall. So the aileron bearing from Gadgets and Gizmos is honestly like such a cool block. Because like you can't transfer rotational power to the outside things, that's the only limitation with it, but I'm not sure how you'd even do that. But it's such a cool block when it comes to building things at a small scale, because Create really doesn't have an option for this that isn't just adding a ton of stress, adding a torsion spring, and then it's going to be like 5 blocks long before you even get to the bearing part. But this is all in one, and you can set however you want it to be. You can set the control mode, and then you can sneak right click and set all of the angle limitings and stuff, and that makes it so much easier to make stuff. Another reason this is possible is because of Create Propulsion, which has been around for a few years. Create Propulsion is not a new mod. However, it got ported to Simulated very early on when it came to that kind of stuff. And they have vector thrusters now, and they have electronic vector thrusters now. So what I'm doing is I'm slowing down the output rotation from this thing like a ton, and then converting that to FE with a industrial alternator, also from Gadgets and Gizmos, and then I'm powering the engines with that. And with that, it just ends up being super fast. And then probably the third like major add-on for this is something that I actually have been using since pretty close to its launch, and it's Create Arrowworks. Now, Create Arrowworks initially just added 2 blocks. It added the joystick into the gyroscope, and the joystick and the gyroscope were kind of weird blocks. I installed it mainly for the gyroscope, and I think the gyroscope has had some changes since, but that's not what this video is on. But it added this thing and the gyroscope. However, in recent times, they added a much cooler control scheme called the control deck. And now with the control deck, you have different modules that you can put stuff in, and like you could have different slots and sockets that stuff fits in. So like we have a lever head socket here. The buttons can fit in the lever head, the joystick head, the wheel hub, and the yoke grip. And then the yoke module just adds that, so then I can put this basic button, one in both sides. And now I just have a fully functioning control scheme. I forgot that I didn't actually hook it up to buttons, but like I can press each button individually. I'm going to set this to right button since they were both left. So I have right click and left click, and then I have mouse movement. Or what I had for the jet was a WASD, and you can just set the frequencies directly in this, so you don't even have to worry about programming after the fact. So then I right click this, WASD is just like the perfect reset for it. Not the perfect reset for it, the perfect like control scheme for it, and it's really easy to fly with. And I honestly really like this system, especially because we can extend these out and have more buttons. So like if I wanted to put some of these switches on, I could put that there. And then suddenly we have control of all of these, and I can set these to 1, 2, 3, 4. And then suddenly 1, 2, 3, 4 WASD, and we just have so much more control with this and it's directly to frequencies. And it's just a really fun control scheme, in my opinion. Because, like, you have the ranges, you have a semi-physical, like, arrangement that you can control stuff in, and you have a display for it, and I find that really cool. And that's not even to mention, like, the mechanical servos and stepper motors and stuff, but those are really cool, too. Just overall, in general, this control desk is really cool for stuff, and I can also use it to set the speed max, because I can turn it down. Like, I can set this to 1. That is not what I wanted. Okay, I can set it to 1. And then the thruster's going, but at 1 strength it's not doing too much. Let's bump that up to 3. And now it's going slowly. Whereas if I had been going... Here, I'll place a block so you have a frame of reference. If I had just gone into here, gone from here, it's 15, so then... Now we're going a whole lot faster. And one of the great things about this is that this doesn't take, like, a whole ton of stress like the torsion springs would. Like, if I go ahead and grab a torsion spring, the way that this works is adding, like, a ton of stress to the network, and it's realistic for that. But it just doesn't feel right for making modern things. And spinning that requires, like, 128 stress units. And that's only if you're going from that speed. If I go from that speed... It takes like 2,000 to power that, just to have fast turning. And that just feels so much less good than being able to power it, because you're just rotating something. It should just be a rotating bearing, but in order to angle limit in vanilla aeronautics, you need to do so much more. And also I figured out a way to make this a little bit different with Create Propulsion. Because I can make it smaller. I don't like it's actually any smaller, to come to think of it. But I can make it... oh, it is a little bit smaller, because I don't have to have the levers on the side. But I can make it that small if I use this transmission instead. And then I can see how much power that's creating. So I need to lock it in place and then power on the things. What I've been doing for that is just placing a lever directly on the back of these. It seems like this is enough to power both of them and some. Alright, so that'll be fine. But we're using, like, all of our stress capacity for that, because we don't have to use it for the flaps as much. These might use a little bit, but, like, we really don't have to be worried about it. And I want to build this on the SMP that I've been playing, and I'm curious to see how it'll do in a survival world. In fact, I might test that out just on a normal world in this video for creative, because I am curious to see how it behaves when not everything is this perfect testing world. I am having a little bit of a glitch when it comes to the camera with those bearings, because it, like, treats the center of mass, because that's where I put it, right there, and then it's a different physics object, so it moves your camera. Oh, I'm out of the atmosphere. 700 blocks up, you don't get a lot of drag. But as soon as I re-enter, this is, like, decently controllable. I can go back down. It is a little bit sensitive for the high speed that we're going, but I think that's fine. Honestly, Create Aeronautics is one of my favorite add-on mods for Create. I wish it were in more versions, but it's understandable that it's not. Sable's in more versions, I think. I just don't think Aeronautics is. But yeah, there's just so much more we can do now. So I saved that thing into a creative mode hotbar, which means that I can go into here and grab it out, and then spawn it into a different world. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick and test it out. Okay, so we started in a fairly flat place. I'll give it a second to let chunks load in. But if I scroll down here, grab that, then we have the jet in creative mode. I also wanted to grab that. Just position that a little bit better. Oh. Well, I'm sure that's normal. But I'm just gonna have to break that. The bearings should save its settings. It's weird that those detached. But I should just be able to move this out of the way, place a button, equal to this, to there. I can't glue that to there. Okay, so I'm gonna have to place this sail in there. Oh, but there's a mushroom in the way. Oh, apparently that happened on all of them. Okay. But after I place the one that was supposed to be on there, it's as easy as gluing it. So it's not even that I just did the button thing, it's just... this is being weird in general. So I can place a button. Well, first off, delete the button. Make sure that's a physics thing. Then... yeah, okay, so that is a physics thing. Place that down. Make sure that I'm picking the right type of sail. Place that down, not right. Place that down, and then leave there to there. Then we have to figure that out with these two as well, which shouldn't be too hard, because I think it'll just be break, break, put that in, make sure I'm getting the right sail type, yep. This is going to be easier if it's in the air. A little bit, place the sail down there, and then connect that up to there. Yeah. And then that should be everything there. Okay, I have to do it on this one final time. Okay. Get the sail type, break, break. Assemble that. I'm fine with that having bugs when it like when working with two different mods, weirdly. Like in a weird way. Because it didn't expect... that's not the intended use, you know? So then, that's perfectly fine. I hope that it doesn't do that more, but I'm gonna avoid using the portable structure container while testing. For this one, I would totally get it if it was just the buttons breaking it, but because I used buttons to connect something. It doesn't... I'd be fine if it didn't like that, but... up, down, left, right... seems like we have everything. Space is thrust. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a test flight. Oh, I completely forgot that it was going to fly the other one, too. Alright, well... chunk loading issues aside... oh, what's up with our thrust? Huh. Oh, is it just chunk loading lag? Alright. The server I plan on playing on has a lot more of the chunks loaded, so this shouldn't be nearly as much of an issue. But... it was flying okay for a second. It was flying perfectly fine. Cows. Okay, it was flying perfectly fine. As long as it's in loaded chunks. Which it does seem to be struggling a tiny bit with. Should I increase my render distance? I don't know. Probably. Have I? No. But as long as I don't, like, go into space, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, it seems like whenever you put this in a portable structure container, it's just going to have those issues with how the bearing is set up. Which is unfortunate, but you could disassemble before and after. I'll just have to ask no one to put it in the thing, and I'll have to be careful about that when assembling. And as long as I don't have to do the thing with the button, it is fairly easy to reassemble. I might switch that button for something else that's a little bit more tolerable. Da-da-da. Put that there. Huh. Do I have to be on the ground to glue? That would be weird. Because I don't think I've had a problem with that so far. With both things being assembled. Maybe it just doesn't like being glued to. Oh no, it seems fine. But yeah, if it's as easy as gluing it, it's not going to be the worst to reassemble. It seems like I only have to do the weird thing when I have to do the button thing, which is my own fault for doing the weird thing. I'll be able to use a copycat slice there instead. Copycat vertical slice. Right there. And that should work perfectly fine. Put that there, put that there. Undo the button from there. Where does this one go? I think here? Yeah, because it was on the orange one. And then I can just... It's as simple as gluing discard selection. Here, I didn't put a slice on the side. Oh, wait, I did. It was just invisible. That's a bit of a bug with this pack, but that's fine. Glue that on. Everything's perfectly fine. Where'd that other wing go? There it is. As long as that doesn't drop it and duplicate it, I'm perfectly fine reassembling it sometimes if I need to. Because people will put it in a portable structure container. That's just something that's going to happen. But with the glue, it doesn't seem that bad to assemble. However, why aren't you working? Did I do something wrong? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Looks like I have to reassemble those. Okay, so that should be everything working. Now that we've given the chunks a little bit more time, I want to try this again. This thing has enough thrust that that might be enough runway. It was. Okay. So I'm gonna turn. That's really stable, all things considered. Turning could have been way worse on that. And now we're freezing because of chunk loading a little bit, but like, once again, the server has already had a lot of the chunks generated, meaning that loading them won't be nearly as much of a problem. Because I've gone similar speeds before doing other things, and it wasn't a problem. But this should be fine. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching, thanks for checking out the cool jet I made, and see you next time. Honestly, if you have one takeaway from this video, it's that aeronautics stuff is really, really cool right now. The modding community for add-ons has been doing a great job.